You're watching TimesXP. I'm Driti Atri, and here are the biggest stories that are making headlines across the globe today. So let's start with it. Hamas rewrites the rule of Gaza. Well, Hamas has unveiled a bold new plan to reshape Gaza's future, and the world is watching. The group says that it's ready to accept the United Nations peacekeepers, but only from the Muslim nations like Turkey, Pakistan, Indonesia. Here, analysts call it a masterstroke, turning diplomacy into defiance. The move directly challenges US President Mr. Donald Trump's proposed peace strategy, which aimed to keep Gaza under Western supervision. UN peacekeepers, but only from the east. That's right, Hamas insists Western troops are not welcomed in Gaza. It says Muslim solidarity is the only path to peace here. Well, this is being seen as an attempt to replace the Western influence with regional power. It's a clear signal, a signal that Hamas wants to control Gaza's destiny on its own terms. United States monitoring ceasefire with spy drones. Well, US isn't taking Hamas words very lightly. US spy drones, they are now flying over Gaza, independently monitoring the fragile truce. Officials say that this ensures Israel sticks to its commitment. But you know what? Critics argue that it shows that America doesn't trust anybody, not even its own allies. Hamas versus Trump's peace plan here. Trump's long-promised Middle East peace plan is under threat. Hamas's Muslim UN force idea, it can undermine his vision completely. Now for Mr. Trump, this is not just a diplomatic challenge, it's a political embarrassment. Hamas has effectively declared that we'll talk peace, but only on our terms. Hamas rebrands itself as a government. That's right, in a surprising shift. Hamas leaders are speaking like their statement. They have called for unity between Gaza and the West Bank under one Palestinian leadership. The group now talks about reconstruction, elections. Can you imagine? With that diplomacy, not just resistance anymore. Analysts say that Hamas is playing the long game here, from militia to the legitimate power. Twin United States aircraft crash near China. Two of America's finest aircrafts, an FA-18 Super Hornet and an MH-60 Seahawk, have gone down. Both crashes occurred during operation near the South China Sea. Thankfully, all the crew members were rescued safely, but this incident, it has sparked embarrassment. The United States Navy at a very tense time with China. China watches America's embarrassment. While the accident happened close to disputed Chinese waters, Venezuela has quietly called the incident reckless. In the meantime, US analysts fear that China might exploit this as a proof of American decline. The timing, it can't be worse, just days before Trump's Asia tour. United States Navy under pressure right now, losing two aircraft worth $60 million? Well, that raises tough questions. Was it a technical failure or maybe an operational negligence? Here, experts warn that one wrong move could spark a maritime crisis here. The South China Sea is already really volatile, and now it has become even more. Cold War echoes in the Caribbean. Well, a powerful American warship, the USS Gravely, has appeared near Venezuela's coast. Now, officially, Washington calls it a joint drill, and that too with Trinidad and Tobago. But you know what? Defense insiders say that it is a message to Nicolas Maduro. We are watching you. Now, this could mark the start of a new Cold War in the Caribbean. CIA operations expand in Latin America. Well, reports suggest that the US intelligence has quietly expanded its presence near Venezuela. The focus? Monitoring drug and oil smuggling routes over there. In the meantime, Maduro's government is very, very angry, accusing Washington of fabricating the war. Well, both the nations now have warships shadowing each other at the sea. Maduro accuses Washington of invasion plot. That's right, Venezuela's navy has gone on high alert. Maduro claims that the US is planning regime change using military disguise. Here, Russia and China, they have both voiced support for Caracas. The Caribbean has now officially become the next geopolitical spotlight. Trump's secret peace plan with Putin here. From Moscow, a stunning revelation by Sergei Lavrov. He claims Donald Trump proposed a secret peace meeting, and that too in Budapest. The topic? Ending the war in Ukraine. But you know what? The US, they allegedly backed out after pressure from Europe. Lavrov mocks United States' fear of peace. That's right, he accused Washington of being afraid of peace that does not favor NATO. He said European hawks. Yes, he literally used that term. He said European hawks forced Trump to abandon the idea. Moscow insists that it's ready to take initiative and talk anytime. Here, analysts see this as a Russia's bid to look like the peacemaker here. Trump caught between war and diplomacy here. Do you remember Trump's campaign back then promised to end the war in 24 hours? Well, that's back in spotlight. Now, if Lavrov's claim they are actually true, then Trump's credibility is at risk here. European allies fear a Trump comeback could fracture the NATO unity. However, Russia seems to welcome this move. Turkey's Netanyahu FG controversy. Well, in Trabzon, Turkey, protesters hanged an FG of Israeli Prime Minister Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu. Now, this showed him with a noose and a death penalty sign. Israel says that it is anti-Semitic and disgusting. But you know what? Erdogan's silence has sparked global outrage here. Erdogan under fire for silence. As images go viral, world leaders demand Turkey condemn the act here. However, Erdogan has avoided any statement so far. In the meantime, Israel now questions if Ankara can actually act as a neutral peace broker or not. Even the US, they have urged Turkey to move beyond the hate. Turkey's peace credibility in doubt right now. That's right, for months, Turkey has positioned itself as Gaza's key mediator, right? But incidents like this, it threatened the credibility here. Nationalist group inside Turkey, they are celebrating the act. But you know what? Ankara's image as a bridge between East and the West is now under threat. Putin unveils the doomsday missile. That's right. Russian President Mr. Vladimir Putin appeared in full uniform at a secret base. He personally oversaw the launch of their new nuclear-powered missile. You know what? This nuclear-powered missile can actually fly for days, change course mid-air and even invade the radar. Here analysts call it a nuclear nightmare for the US. Putin's message to Trump, I am ready. That's right, the missile test came days after Trump vowed to send Tomahawks to the Ukraine. Here Putin's response was kind of swift, show of force instead of words. In fact, Russian state media aired every single second of the launch. Experts say that this was a calculated display of defiance. Nuclear show returns. The test took place in the Arctic, far from the satellites. Western intelligence believe that this marks a new nuclear era. Well, Moscow wants the world to remember. It is still the ultimate power. The Cold War isn't back. Wait, it never really left. Houthi rebels detained UN workers. In Yemen, Iran-backed Houthis, they have arrested 3 UN employees. They accuse them of being part of an Israeli spy ring. 2 women, 1 man. They were taken from their homes at night. In the meantime, the UN, they call the allegations fabricated and demand for their release. Aid workers under fire. This is not the very first incident, by the way. 55 UN staffers have been detained since 2021. The Houthis claim that they are uncovering foreign networks. In the meantime, experts call it political blackmail to control international organizations, humanitarian operations in Yemen. Well, now they hang by a thread. Zohran Mamdani breaks down in New York. Outside a bronze mosque, Indian origin politician Mr. Zohran Mamdani broke down in tears. He says that opponents are branding him as terrorist because of his faith. Mamdani, who's running for New York City mayor, he vowed to stand proud. Well, his emotional speech has gone viral across the United States. Islamophobia in American politics, Mamdani's story, it exposes how race and religion still defines the United States politics. He says that being Muslim in America comes with conditions. The whole crowd cheered as he promised to fight against that. Now, this election could actually reshape minority representation in the US. The Iran-Russia ghost deal here, New leak reveal a shadow arms deal between Tehran and Moscow. Iran reportedly supplying drones and getting fighter jets in return. Well, experts fear that nuclear or maybe, just maybe, missile tech transfer could be involved here. But if that's true, this could change the global balance of power. 48 Russian Su-35s for Iran. The deal is worth 6 billion euros, one of the biggest in their history. Deliveries are delayed, but the talks continue behind the closed doors. Iran's military modernization, it can trigger an arms race in the Middle East right now. Washington is watching closely, but very nervously. Macron's war plan. President Macron is preparing to send 7,000 troops to Ukraine by 2026. You know what? It would be the biggest Western escalation since the war began. Paris says that the troops would be part of a European security force. Here, critics warn that it could drag France into a direct war with Russia. Europe on the edge right now. Russia has already warned that any foreign soldier will be treated as a target. NATO allies are divided on Macron's plan right now. Some see it as a leadership, others call it madness. The continent faces its biggest test since World War II. France's strongman image. Macron says that Europe must stop being afraid of Russia. But many suspect that he's just trying to restore his own political image. French public opinion remain deeply split. Europe's future may depend on how Macron dares to go. A world on the edge, ladies and gentlemen, from Gaza's ruins to Ukraine's trenches. The world is shifting fast. Old alliances are fading, new ones are rising. Every single headline tonight tells you one truth. The balance of power is no longer stable. And with that, that's a wrap-up of our 30 news bulletins from around the globe. From Gaza to Venezuela, from China to US. Tensions are rising and stakes are high. Let's hope for peace and light to guide all the troubled nations. Stay tuned with TimesXP for continuous updates. I am Driti Atri, keeping you informed on every single news that matters the most.